Married with Children stunned viewers when it debuted on television in 1987 with its unreserved comedy and brutally honest portrayal of suburban family life. Fans only got half the tale from what they saw on screen, though. There were strange secrets, surprising turns, and breathtaking moments you've probably never heard of behind the laughs. And you will view the show quite differently after discovering these little-known facts. We're Not the Cosbys was the title that nearly aired. The Cosby Show, the most popular and iconic of those, portrayed a picture-perfect upper-middle-class African-American family with well-behaved children, loving parents, and weekly lessons learned. When Married with Children was still in its early stages of development at Fox in the mid-1980s, network executives and creators Michael G. Moy and Ron Levitt wanted to make it clear from the beginning that this sitcom would be nothing like the wholesome, polished, and morally centered family shows that dominated primetime television. We're Not the Cosbys was the working title that the show's writers came up with in a cheeky move that highlighted their rebellious attitude. Although it was never intended to be the show's final title, it set the tone for what they wanted it to be. A chaotic, sardonic, and seriously flawed family that appeared to stutter through life without learning anything was to be the focus. This would be the exact antithesis of what viewers had been taught a TV family should look like. Fox management changed the title prior to the premiere because they were concerned it would lead to legal problems or a negative public reaction. Nevertheless, every scene evoked the spirit of the original title, demonstrating that this was the anti-sitcom America didn't realize it needed. After an unaired pilot, the Bundy kids were recast, which forever altered their character. Married with Children saw an unexpected casting change before to its April 1987 launch. Tina Kaspari, a young dancer and actress who would go on to participate in a few movies and music videos, played Kelly Bundy in the unaired pilot. Hunter Carson, who was then best known as the son of screenwriter L.M. Kit Carson and actress Karen Black, played Bud Bundy. Both performed well, but the producers and network thought the family dynamic lacked something. The Bundys needed children who could match Ed O'Neill's dry wit and Katie Siegel's biting sarcasm. Chemistry was crucial for this edgy sitcom, and when Christina Applegate tried out for Kelly, she brought a perfect blend of charm, sly humor, and teenage rebellion that immediately clicked with the rest of the cast. During his audition for Bud, David Fino's quick-witted, mischievous spirit perfectly complemented the humor in the script. Finding the ideal balance for a program that mostly relied on humorous timing and personality conflicts was the reason behind replacing Kaspari and Carson. It wasn't a personal choice. This last-minute alteration was essential because Applegate and Fino would become inextricably linked to their characters, influencing how the Bundy children were viewed by fans for over 10 years. Following this, there was an episode that was so contentious that Fox buried it for 13 years. The lost episode was put on hold for more than 10 years. One of the most bizarre episodes in Married with Children's history centers on the "I'll See You in Court" episode, which was finished in early 1989 but never aired during the show's initial run. The plot followed Al and Peg Bundy after they learned that they had been surreptitiously filmed during a private moment at a budget motel. They decide to sue the motel owners, which results in a series of obscene jokes, double entendres, and sight gags that stretched the series' already thin bounds. Even by Bundy standards, the tone was baldy, and Fox management were afraid that the offensive material and suggestive humor would cause backlash, particularly given the growing public disapproval of television's morality. The network discreetly shelved the episode rather than airing it. Fans had been hearing about a banned episode for years, but they were unable to watch it. I'll See You in Court didn't finally appear on the cable channel FX in its original, uncut version until 2002, more than 10 years later. A cult classic among devoted fans who had waited years to watch it, the humor by that point seemed fairly mild in comparison to contemporary sitcoms. Now let's tell you about the Michigan mother who attempted to kill the Bundys and unintentionally save them. The boycott that had a disastrous backlash. One resolute Michigan housewife named Terry Ralta put married people with kids at the center of a moral firestorm in early 1989. Ralta was horrified by what she perceived as offensive humor and inappropriate sexual content after watching the episode Her Cups Runneth Over, in which Al and Steve looked for a racy women's lingerie store. She started a letter-writing campaign to get major advertisers to remove their ads from the show and to urge viewers to boycott the entire series. Rapid media coverage of Ralta's campaign led to some advertisers pulling out. In response, Fox rescheduled the show for a little later time slot and made some script changes. However, the unanticipated outcome was that the issue drew in millions of new, interested viewers. Just to see what all the excitement was about, those who had never seen the show tuned in. As ratings increased, Married with Children gained even more attention in popular culture. Ironically, the individual who attempted to put an end to the Bundys' existence ultimately contributed to their enduring legacy on television. 6-9. Later, producers made a joke about how Recolta's efforts had provided them invaluable free publicity, demonstrating that in the entertainment industry, sometimes negative publicity is the best kind. Then there's the strange way the Bundy family received its first freeway gunfire. One of the most iconic scenes in Married with Children is the opening sequence, which includes the famed Buckingham Fountain, the Chicago skyline, and a brief picture of cars rushing down a busy expressway. This photo was taken from National Lampoon's Vacation. Naturally, viewers believe that this was original video recorded especially for the show, but in fact, a portion of it was taken directly from another production. The short freeway clip was taken from the 1983 comedy National Lampoon's Vacation, which starred Chevy Chase. Fox, the film's owner, chose to reuse the already existing footage rather than planning a costly location shoot in order to save time and money. In order to create the backdrop for the Bundys' made-up home life, the photo blended in well with other Chicago visuals throughout the credit sequence. During the 1980s, when television studios frequently recycled stock footage from their vaults, this kind of ingenuity was not uncommon. For years, fans were unaware of the detail until astute watchers and movie enthusiasts pointed out the resemblance. Knowing that the Bundys universe was partially presented through another classic comedy gives the show's legacy a humorous backstory. The musical shift that followed left devoted fans furious for years. Early home video releases of Love and Marriage disappeared. When Married with Children first aired, the opening titles of each episode featured the Frank Sinatra song Love and Marriage, which quickly became associated with the show. However, fans were horrified to learn that the well-known theme was absent when the show was initially published on VHS and then on DVDs. The lively, sardonic song was the ideal counterpoint to the Bundys' chaotic, unromantic family life. The distributors were forced to substitute a generic instrumental track for Sinatra's song because the licensing rights to use it in home video formats were not obtained. 8:36. In the sitcom, Amanda Bears, who played Marcy Rodas Darcy, was already notable for her witty comedic timing and her ability to engage Ed O'Neill's character Al Bundy in an ongoing verbal duel. However, Bears made a daring personal choice throughout the span of Married with Children that was practically unheard of in network television in the 1990s. She came out as a lesbian in public. Few TV performers, particularly those starring in popular comedies, were outspoken about their sexual orientation at the time. Her choice was important for the representation of LGBTQ+ people in Hollywood. Bear's impact extended beyond her career as an actress. While still on the show, she also developed into a skilled television director. Behind the scenes, she helped to establish the tone and tempo of Married with Children by directing over 30 episodes. Although her character, Marcy, frequently found herself in absurd situations, Bear's real-life professional decisions were revolutionary. Her work went beyond the Bundy household as she went on to direct episodes for other well-known sitcoms, such as Reba and Dharma and Greg. She left a long influence in comedy and television production by demonstrating that a sitcom star could also be a dependable director and an outspoken supporter of representation. Next is a name that sounds like it belongs to a wrestler, but it's actually that of a serial killer. The Bundys are named after King Kong Bundy. The fact that the Bundy surname is a nod to professional wrestling is among the more amusing behind-the-scenes details of Married with Children. Because of their admiration for the legendary WWF wrestler King Kong Bundy, whose enormous physique and brazen demeanor made him a memorable figure in 1980s wrestling, the show's creators chose to use his name for the fictional family, incorporating a hint of tongue-in-cheek humor from the very beginning. Nor was this link merely a name drop. Twice King Kong Bundy himself appeared as a guest star. The decision to name the Bundys after a wrestler was a perfect fit with the series' satirical tone. He first appeared as Uncle Irwin, a silly but strangely intimidating family member. Later, he made a classic cameo in which he played himself, perfectly fitting into the show's brand of ridiculous, over-the-top comedy. Married people with kids enjoy making fun of American society, so it was a smart move to use a wrestling star's name to describe a dysfunctional suburban family. The reference was an immediate Easter egg for wrestling fans who watched in the late 1980s and early 1990s. For those who were unaware, it was simply one more peculiar aspect that contributed to the Bundys' distinct personality. Ed O'Neill slouched through the door to win the part. When Ed O'Neill entered the Married with Children audition room, he wasn't attempting to make an impression, at least not in the conventional sense. He was just worn out, with his shoulders slumped and his gait indicating that he had a long day. However, such inadvertent body language was actually quintessential Al Bundy. The producers wanted someone who could portray the defeated, sardonic, and worn-down character of Al, a man whose glory days were long gone and whose current life was a never-ending battle. They knew they had found their man the moment O'Neill entered the room without saying a word. They said, "That's Al," according to reports. It wasn't only a decision to act. At that point, it was O'Neill's natural condition. His delivery, dry wit, and muttering only cemented his reputation as TV ideal underdog father. His unintentional slump became the distinguishing physical characteristic of one of the most recognizable sitcom characters. It was a pivotal part in E.D. O'Neill's career. For fans, the history of sitcoms began with that one slouch stride into the room. Now let's tell you how everything turned out. Sort of. The cast found out about the termination through word of mouth. Married with Children didn't conclude with a sentimental, heartfelt farewell. The cast was not even given a full heads-up, in fact. The long-running sitcom was abruptly canceled by Fox, and rather than bringing everyone together for a formal announcement, the news leaked through industry rumors and the media. The way the show ended felt abrupt and cold to the actors who had worked together for more than 10 years to make the Bundy family a pop culture icon. According to reports, Ed O'Neill, David Fino, Christina Applegate, and Katie Sagal found out about the decision at different points in time, frequently via friends or reporters who had seen the headlines. It was simply over. There was no lavish farewell or last moment on set to celebrate years of labor. When fans turned on their televisions, they saw that the Bundys had permanently disappeared. It was an odd, sudden conclusion to a program that had come to symbolize Fox's formative years. The Bundys' world wasn't completely gone, even if they quickly disappeared from our screens. After that, there are two spin-offs that you have most likely never seen. They both starred Matt LeBlanc, a former acquaintance. Long before his friend became well-known, Matt LeBlanc was involved with two married couples with kids. The first was Top of the Heap, 1991, which focused on LeBlanc's character Vinny and Charlie Verducci. The network hoped that a Bundy-related show could capitalize on the success of the original when the character first appeared in Married with Children, but this series stopped after just 7 episodes due to low ratings. Fox made another attempt with Vinny and Bobby in 1992, Unfazed. Vinny, starring LeBlanc as Vinny once more. As his friend Bobby, he was matched this time with Robert Torrey. Unfortunately, audiences did not respond well to this second try either, and it was canceled nearly immediately after it began. Despite being little-known footnotes in TV history today, both series serve as early examples of networks failing to capitalize on the universe of a popular sitcom. However, these brief positions served as stepping stones for LeBlanc creation. He got Joey Tribbiani on Friends a few years later, and the rest became sitcom history. That house in Chicago is actually a facade in Deerfield, Illinois. Although fans will always associate the Bundy family with Chicago, the reality is a little more devious. Nowhere in Chicago are those well-known images of the Bundy residence, with its neat lawn and suburban atmosphere. The outside is a TV sleight of hand, and it actually belongs to a house in the suburb of Deerfield, Illinois, which is roughly 25 miles north of the city. Chicago is discussed by the authors and characters. They support its teams and make reference to nearby sites. But the house you've seen a million times is in a different neighborhood. In reality, no sequences were shot there. That facade was only required for establishing shots by the production team. All other work was completed on a soundstage in Los Angeles. It serves as a reminder that TV frequently creates worlds using carefully designed illusions, giving viewers the impression that they are looking at a real-life portion of a metropolis that may actually be hundreds or even thousands of miles away. Therefore, even if the Bundys' lives took place in the made-up Chicago neighborhood of New Market, the actual address reveals a different tale. And lastly, Fox's first primetime sitcom, which set the record and founded the network. Married with Children wasn't your typical sitcom when it debuted in 1987. For the Fox network, which was brand new at the time, it was history in the making. This was Fox's first comedy in prime time, an audacious decision that instantly established the network's irreverent, daring tone. The Bundys offered something completely different at a period when the majority of TV sitcoms tended toward nice family values. Unrepentant humor that didn't care to play nice dysfunction and sarcasm. The risk paid out handsomely. With Peg's excessive indolence and Al Bundy's sulky shoe salesman persona becoming household staples, the show became a cultural touchstone over time. In addition to giving Fox a signature hit, it established the network as a legitimate competitor to the long-standing industry titans like ABC, NBC, and CBS. During its time, Married with Children was the longest-running live-action sitcom on Fox, running for an astounding 11 seasons. Which of these facts surprised you the most? Its longevity demonstrated that Fox was prepared to provide the easier, more edited content that consumers were seeking. I'd be curious to know. Leave a comment below with your opinions.